Hey, you want a little cosino with? Hey, Paolo, fix him a little monosalad. Put some struzzi on. Fry it up. They like fried foods.
There was a time when TV comedy was fueled by pioneers who practically invented the punchline as we know it. As the years roll on, too many names fade from the spotlight. Their groundbreaking work rarely mentioned today. Here's a countdown shining a fresh light on 10 legends whose laughter shaped generations. Number 1. Sid Caesar from Your Show of Shows and Caesar's Hour. Let's go back to the smoky, crackling days of black and white television, when Sid Caesar ruled the airwaves with Your Show of Shows. From 1950 to 1954, Caesar's razor-sharp wit, elastic face, and booming presence made Saturday nights an event. His sketch comedy was layered, smart, and breathtakingly physical. He juggled languages, invented gibberish dialects, and brought slices of real, relatable characters straight into America's living rooms. Then came Caesar's Hour, spinning the magic further and nurturing a writer's room that would become legendary. Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, Neil Simon, they all learned their craft at Sid's side, and later changed the shape of comedy for generations. Yet, as the 1960s and 1970s brought new moods and styles, Caesar's influence faded, his own struggles off-camera making headlines instead of his genius. Still, the DNA of ensemble sketch comedy, from SNL to modern sitcoms, starts with Sid. You can almost hear the studio laughter, the signal that once, comedy's backbone was a Caesar. Ahead, we'll rediscover more legends who shaped what we laugh at today. Number 2. Richard Pryor, from The Richard Pryor Show and stand-up specials. Smoke curling across a bare microphone, Richard Pryor stepped onto the stage with a boldness that rewrote the script for every comic who followed. On The Richard Pryor Show, which aired briefly on NBC in 1977, Pryor delivered a fearless mix of sketch, satire, and soul-bearing stand-up that made viewers laugh and squirm in equal measure. He pulled no punches, tackling racism, pain, and the everyday absurdities of life with raw, explosive truth. But his refusal to soften for prime time soon collided with nervous network censors and national backlash, causing his show's abrupt end after just 4 episodes. Though headlines dwelled on controversies, his revolutionary courage changed comedy forever, echoing through stand-up acts decades later. Richard Pryor wasn't just telling jokes. He was showing America itself, with every word, every pause, every honest ache. As his laughter fades out, you can still feel the crackle of possibility he left behind, an energy that lives on, waiting for discovery with the next legend to push the boundaries. Number 3. Red Foxx from Sanford and Son and Chitlin Circuit stand-up. Picture the smoke-filled clubs of the Chitlin Circuit, where Red Fox's razor wit and brilliant timing turned blue-collar stories into riotous, unforgettable nights. Long before network TV even blinked in his direction, Foxx was selling out Harlem's Apollo Theater, riffing on race, work, and life with comedic courage few dared to match. Then came Sanford and Son on NBC in 1972, where his Fred Sanford character brought blistering humor and sharp truth into America's living rooms for 6 seasons. But as the 80s rolled in, contract disputes and declining health quietly edged Foxx out of the spotlight. While flashy newcomers grabbed headlines, a generation of comics, from Eddie Murphy to Chris Rock, kept calling him the real king. Today, his boundary-pushing comedy feels like the groundwork beneath so many greats, yet Foxx himself remains an unsung hero. Listening to his act now, you catch the snap and spark that changed comedy forever, proof that true legends don't vanish, even when the credits roll. Number 4. Totie Fields from The Ed Sullivan Show and Las Vegas stages. A cloud of laughter once followed Totie Fields wherever she went, from The Ed Sullivan Show to the bustling showrooms of Las Vegas. In the 1960s and 70s, while most stand-up stages were dominated by men in crisp suits, Totie wielded humor with fearless honesty, taking on taboo topics like body image, marriage, and the daily grind. She made millions roar with bits that peeled back the curtain on women's lives, a rarity on television back when The Ed Sullivan Show introduced her to a national audience. In 1973, just as her star burned bright, illness struck, dimming a shining, trailblazing force. Despite heartfelt TV specials and packed Vegas crowds, changing tastes and a lack of classic reruns meant her legacy faded quietly in the decades that followed. Yet, her gutsy punchlines and candor inspired generations of comics who found power in owning their stories. Totie's voice cracked open new territory, the ripple of her courage still felt with every laugh. Somewhere, the spotlight lingers, waiting to shine again. Number 5. Fred Allen from The Fred Allen Show. Close your eyes and step into the heyday of old-school radio, where Fred Allen's voice once tickled the nation's funny bone. On The Fred Allen Show, which dominated airwaves from 1932 to 1949, Allen mastered the art of razor-sharp satire and in-jokes that winked directly at his audience. He skewered everything from politics to celebrity culture, making his show a must-listen for anyone craving thoughtful comedy. With his trademark segment Allen's Alley, Fred painted vivid caricatures of American life, offering commentary far ahead of his time. But by the early 1950s, the tide shifted. Television executives wanted fresh laughs, and as sitcoms surged, Allen's cerebral parody was nudged aside for broader visual gags. Still, his approach echoes in the irreverent meta-comedies that followed. Today, his name fades, but his style, smart, biting, never mean, lives in every comic who looks sideways at society. Fred Allen set the pace, then quietly bowed out, leaving traces of brilliance for the true fans to rediscover. It's a legacy waiting just beyond the static as we turn the dial to the next chapter. Let's pause for a second. Do tales of old radio giants spark memories in you or your family? Which forgotten comedian or classic show do you wish you could tune in to just one more time? Share your thoughts down below. Number 6. Imogene Coca from Your Show of Shows. A single glance from Imogene Coca could have you in stitches before she even spoke. On Sid Caesar's Your Show of Shows, which lit up Saturday nights on NBC from 1950 to 1954, Coca's elastic expressions and fearless physical comedy defined an era. Her chemistry with Caesar set the gold standard for sketch comedy duos. The laughter she conjured wasn't just a product of clever scripts. It was her timing, sharp as a snare hit, and a chameleon's ability to switch from prim housewife to zany oddball in the blink of an eye. When Coca left for other projects, following disputes over pay and creative control, the magic never quite recaptured its earlier glow. She became a star elsewhere, even garnering an Emmy in 1951, but the shimmering spotlight faded as vaudeville-style TV shifted out of fashion. Today, nearly every sketch comedian owes her a debt, even if her legacy hides in the wings. Pause for a moment, and you might almost hear the roar of live laughter that followed her everywhere she went. Then feel it fade as the curtain drops, just in time for the next act. Number 7. George Gobel from The George Gobel Show. Picture a perfectly pressed suit, a gentle face, and a delivery so dry it could sneak up on you. That was George Gobel, the original master of understated humor. His NBC series, The George Gobel Show, debuted in 1954 and quickly became a household staple. Gobel's signature Lonesome George persona drew viewers in with gentle self-deprecation rather than slapstick. During its prime, the show even topped ratings above Milton Berle in its time slot. No easy feat in the television-crazed 1950s. Yet, as the 60s dawned, the winds of pop culture changed. Brassy, boisterous comics took over network priorities, and Gobel's subtle deadpan style slowly faded from screens. Episodes rarely surfaced in reruns, so whole generations missed his quirky asides and softly delivered zingers. Still, his influence lingers. Look closely at today's deadpan comedians, and you'll see hints of George's quiet genius. In a world of loud punchlines, Gobel was the whisper you didn't forget. Let's see who else was lighting up TV's golden age with laughter. Number 8. Moms Mabley from The Ed Sullivan Show and stand-up circuits. You could hear a pin drop, then a sly joke from Moms Mabley would detonate laughter like a firecracker. Born Loretta Mary Aiken, Moms became an iconic figure on the stand-up circuits in the 1960s, fearlessly tackling taboo topics like race, gender, and class when most comedians barely tiptoed around them. Audiences watched in awe as she graced The Ed Sullivan Show, her raspy voice delivering jokes that cut through the primetime hush. Moms Mabley was more than just entertainment. She was a trailblazer, swinging open doors for black comedians, especially women, at a time when the odds were stacked sky high. Even comedy titans like Whoopi Goldberg traced their inspiration back to her unique, unfiltered style. And yet, flip through most comedy history books, and you'll find her overlooked. Her punchlines echo in acts today, yet generations have laughed without ever knowing her name. As the laughter fades, you sense the shape of a legend whose influence deserves another round in the spotlight before we step into our next unforgettable story. Number 9. Gene Carroll from The Gene Carroll Show. Picture a smoky living room in the early 1950s, the glow from a tube set bouncing off your parents' faces. Jean Carroll strides into that world, a crisp, fearless presence on The Jean Carroll Show, which aired on the Dumont Network in 1953. She wasn't just funny, she was a revelation, unloading punchlines about marriage and family life with a wink and a shrug that felt wildly fresh for the era. Carroll's command of timing would later echo in the deliveries of Joan Rivers and Phyllis Diller, but Carroll did it nearly a decade earlier, hopping from vaudeville to one of television's first spots for a woman to be the main attraction. She drew enormous crowds in nightclubs and sold out radio programs, yet her name somehow slipped through the cracks as comedy history marched on. While later legends got the spotlight, Jean's sharp, modern humor built a silent foundation for every woman who followed. Her laughter lingers just below the surface of the next big punchline, reminding us of the trailblazers we sometimes forget to thank. Number 10. Ernie Kovacs from The Ernie Kovacs Show. On a flickering black and white TV in the 1950s, Ernie Kovacs broke every rule about what comedy could look like. Picture oddball sight gags, silent sketches, and wild visual tricks, long before green screens or fancy edits. His self-titled show, which aired on NBC in 1952, redefined television humor with its surreal, unpredictable spirit. Kovacs influenced titans like Monty Python and David Letterman, modernizing the language of sketch before it had a name. He mingled sound effects, slapstick, and even animated cutouts, treating each episode as a playground. Yet, in today's fast-scrolling world, his name rarely gets top billing, even though so many comedy legends borrowed from his playbook. As digital culture rewrites the canon, the trail Kovacs blazed is easy to overlook, unless you go searching for it. His laughter echoes through comedy's hallways, playful and strange, inviting the next innovation just around the corner.